how a Jewish woman hid in her house all through the war. Elsa Koditschek lived in a prosperous section of Vienna. The Nazis who had annexed Austria confiscated her home in 1940. A German SS officer named Herbert Gerbing soon moved into her house. Elsa was allowed to stay in an upstairs apartment. It was a tiny back room that had once been designated as a music room. Elsa appeared to be a tenant in her own house. She had to be polite to the people who had overtaken it. She was given 14 days to leave the house and find a new place to live. Elsa started to sell her belongings to raise as much money as she could. One of the items she could not bear to part with was an Egon Schiele painting. Elsa's son was living in America and her daughter was in Switzerland, but it was too late for her to run there. Then a deportation edict arrived. Elsa was a Jew, so she was supposed to be moved to a Polish ghetto in Lodz. Officer Gerbing told her that it was a wonderful place. Elsa knew enough not to trust the Nazis. She fled instead and visited her non-Jewish friends, the Heinz family. They agreed to hide her in their house. A lot of friends delivered supplies to take care of Elsa, but she had to sell the painting to pay for much-needed supplies. Elsa did not have any paper to write on. She used onion skins to write letters to her son. Her letters were smuggled out whenever possible. She spent 2 years living in the Heinz house. Then 2 Nazi soldiers were led into the house. They heard rumors that he was hiding a Jewish woman in his home. Heinz had no choice but to allow them to search the house. Elsa caught a moment to slip out the back door. She had to hide at a nearby hospital. Then she moved on to another friend's house, to the Hoffert family. They had been smuggling food into the Heinz house for 2 years. Then Elsa met her best non-Jewish friend, Sylvia Kosminski. Sylvia took care of Elsa's house in her absence. She managed to get Elsa back to the house the Nazis had seized from her. Elsa lived there in secrecy. Officer Gerbing was stationed in Paris for a long time. He and his wife visited Vienna only in the spring and summer months. Elsa peeked out the windows to see delivery trucks showing up. They carried elaborate gifts for Officer Gerbing's wife. She also saw Jewish prisoners wearing yellow stars. They did the gardening and housework downstairs. Every day, Elsa kept herself busy by taking care of household chores. In case of danger, she hid behind a sewing mannequin in the corner of the room. In 1944, Officer Gerbing's wife got a letter. It said that her husband had been killed and the war might end soon. Officer Gerbing's wife had just enough time to flee Austria with her children. For a brief amount of time, Elsa had her house back, but that didn't last long. In 1945, the Russians invaded and took everything in the house. Elsa moved to Switzerland to live with her daughter. The Egon Schiele painting eventually ended up going to auction. Then the story of Elsa Koditschek emerged. The painting was sold for over $25 million at auction in 2018. Sotheby's auction decided to give a huge portion of the sales price to Elsa's great-grandchildren.